Welcome to my views and news. Breaking news is about announcement by Oromia region-based new splinter faction of the Orthodox Church, which has announced a counter protest. We know that 3 to 4 days ago, Orthodox Church led by Abune Matthias announced a protest to be held on the 12th of February on coming Sunday. The protest is obviously against Ethiopian federal government, against this splinter faction. Now, splinter faction is responding by making a similar announcement. Secondly, Tigray viewers, where banking service is now resuming fully, it seems. Details for you: 5 billion Ethiopian birr cash delivery to Tigray was announced by the National Security Advisor Ridwan Hussain. I think the cash was meant for banks based in Tigray. And thirdly, viewers, arrests continue in the Oromia region of Ethiopia. Several have been arrested and it's ongoing. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, what was being feared is now happening. If you remember, when Orthodox Church of Ethiopia, when Holy Synod announced to protest against the government on the 12th of February, back then I had said that the other faction could announce a similar protest, and that is what is happening. And it was very expected. The two are flexing their muscles. Orthodox Church, led by Abune Matthias, is showing its strength to the government, to the other faction. That entire Ethiopian Orthodox community is standing behind the church. Other faction is going to do the same. Now, the Holy Synod announced that on the 12th of February, in Ethiopia and out of Ethiopia, a peaceful protest will be held, which will start in the morning. There will be prayer at churches, and then followers will head to Mescal squares in their respective cities. Of course, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, there will be protest as well. Addis Ababans, Orthodox followers, they'll head to Mescal Square. And if tens of thousands arrived at Mescal Square, what would happen? Because we have been seeing slogans, banners displayed at some recent protests by Orthodox followers, which read, "If you enter our temples, we'll go to your palaces." So that is why it could be a serious security issue in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital. That is why perhaps government warned Orthodox Church followers 2 days ago, saying that if anyone tried to create a situation, a law and order situation, government will implement law. It will ensure that law and order is enforced. Though Orthodox Church rejected the statement of the government, but now the other faction is announcing a similar protest. The new synod calls itself Oromia and Nationalities Synod. Its spokesperson, Hele Michael Tadase, a few hours ago in a press briefing made this announcement. Firstly, the spokesperson opposed announcement by Orthodox Church that believers should wear black during Nineveh fasting. Tadase said that Nineveh fasting was being made controversial by the Orthodox Church authorities, and that the fasting is not for a political purpose. That is why church should have, it shouldn't have politicized the fasting program, 3-day long program, ongoing, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And secondly, Hele Michael Tadase announced that on the 12th of February, a peaceful demonstration will be held by Oromia and Nationalities Synod followers. It means that on Sunday, we're going to see protests and counter-protests. I think the protests announced by the Orthodox Church will be held mainly in Amhara region and in Addis Ababa. And the other faction will hold protests in Oromia. But there could be serious conflict in Addis Ababa, where there is Oromo mayor. There in Addis Ababa is surrounded by Oromia region. If Orthodox followers decide to go to Mescal Square, and if Oromos from Oromia, they try to enter Addis Ababa, what would happen? We could see a serious security situation, law and order situation in the capital city of Ethiopia. So that is why the government will have to do something. It will have to ensure that either the protests are cancelled or some solution is found, or somehow the protests are controlled in a way that there is no collision between the two parties, no confrontation. So coming days are very crucial. In the last night's video, I reported that PM Abiy contacted businessmen like Varko Etenao to play their role in the resolution of the conflict. Religious institutions of Ethiopia yesterday urged Orthodox Church to show some flexibility to talk to the other group. Orthodox Church is defined, it is adamant, it is not talking to the other side. The other side, Oromia Synod, is announcing counter-protests. Overall, stalemate there. Secondly, Tigray, where banking service is now resuming fully, though banking operations resumed in Tigray a few days ago, but there were restrictions on the amount of money withdrawal. In most cases, withdrawal was being discouraged. People have their money deposited with banks for years and months, but they were not allowed to withdraw money because banks were running out of cash. Now, gradually we are seeing that fully banking service is operational. It is now being announced by Commercial Bank of Ethiopia that 31 branches have started completely, they have resumed their operations since this morning, and 16 are going to join. The branches are in Makale, in Adagarat, in Macho, other parts of Tigray. And people are able to withdraw money now from these banks. I think 2 days ago, Ridwan Hussain announced after the meeting between PM Abiy and TPLF leaders that PM Abiy accepted some points, some concerns raised by the other party, by TPLF, and he passed decisions that cash should be delivered to Tigray. Then 5 billion Ethiopian birrs were delivered to Tigray. And they were meant for Tigray's banks, not for Tigray's government, because Tigray's government is not being given any cash, as was confirmed by Getachew yesterday in an interview. He said that government will receive budget from the federal government after interim government is established, after new government is put in place in Tigray. So that is why this government of TPLF will not receive budget financial allocation from the federal government. Banks are now receiving money. This is Tigrayans' money, by the way. Tigrayans had deposited their money with banks. So it's not a favor from the federal government for Tigray. Rather, what is Tigrayans is now being sent to Tigray. They deposited the money before the start of war, then banking was suspended. Now they are being given opportunity to withdraw their own money, but no aid for Tigray regional government. Thirdly, viewers, arrests continue, detentions continue in the Oromia region of Ethiopia by Oromia forces of those bishops, priests who are loyal to Abune Matthias faction. Yabalo administrator Gabriel Michael has released a very alarming message. He said he remained in prison for around 4 days. He was arrested, he was tortured. He is a patient of diabetes, and he was not allowed to take any medication. He was tortured. He's been released, but the story narrated by this man of his detention is alarming. How will the church stay united now? Security forces are standing with the new synod in Oromia. Secondly, Jema wards where Dabre Mavi Midanilam Church administrators have been arrested, Tayai Dasarin arrested, and some others too. Abone Zakiel arrested a few hours ago from airport. And several others too. In Somali region, Mustafa Umar intervened, where we know that I reported yesterday that Orthodox followers wearing black were not being allowed to enter churches there. Then Mustafa Umar, Somalian president, intervened, and Orthodox followers were allowed to enter churches. And we saw a statement from Abune Mikorius thanking Mustafa Umar for facilitating the entry of Orthodox believers wearing black in churches in Jigjiga, Somali region. So overall, we can sum up that in Oromia, the regional government, regional forces, they are standing with the new synod. Federal forces too, which are in Oromia. The Orthodox faction led by Abune Matthias, it has no support from the government. Yes, some people, Orthodox followers, they do support the Abune Matthias faction in Oromia, but those who support it, they are being targeted, arrested, detained, tortured. So it will be difficult for people, Orthodox followers, priests, to support Abune Matthias faction in Oromia, which is going to protest on Sunday, a counter protest with slogan, Bible is in all languages. Gospel is in all languages, not Bible. So basically, this language issue is being used by this faction that that Oromo, Afan Oromo language should be used in Oromia for church services, for correspondence, for communication. And that is going to be the main slogan being used by this new splinter faction, which is going to protest in Oromia, mostly in Oromia, I think, on the 12th of February, this Sunday. Thank you for watching.